What's going on YouTube? WILDMAN here. Now on today's episode, I'm going to be doing the bench press and some sled work in between. But due to the windstorm that we've had recently, the air quality is terrible because there's debris all over the ground, there's a bunch of dust in the air, and we have a really big fire nearby. So as a result, the air quality is really bad. So I'm going to have to be extra careful today. Now basically, if you haven't seen my channel long enough, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using the chains. Now these chains are really cheap. I actually bought them at Home Depot and I really didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of bought them and got a certain length that I thought looked good, and then I put them together. But pretty much what's going to happen here is these chains are going to completely deplete into the ground, and then only the chains that are holding those drop chains, those are 2.5 pounds each. And so they're going to be 5 pounds total, and they're never going to ever deplete to the ground. So that's going to remain on the bar, and that's going to be the same weight throughout the entire movement. But then as the weight rises again, then it's going to actually equal about 45 pounds total of chains. So let's pop into today's episode and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Today's giant set, I'm doing the bench press like I said, and later I'm going to be adding those chains, which is good because my left tricep has been giving me some trouble lately. So I'm going to move up nice and slow this session. And I'm also going to be doing some sled work in between, starting off with the strongman pull, where I basically just work my obliques and my back and my hips, and I pull that 75-pound sled towards me. And then I turn it around and I walk it back, but I'm doing a chest fly with the sled. This is just because I wanted to get a little bit more chest work involved and really stretch that chest out. And you can see that rope drags behind me perfectly, so I'm able to set it up for the next time around. And that's going to be the giant set for the day. And I'm going to be adding those 45-pound chains as well to the implement as I go up. Now there's 3 reasons why I'm using chains today. The first reason is it really overloads your triceps. Because it's heavier at the top and it gets heavier in the middle, your triceps have to work extra hard in order to lock it out, which is what I wanted. I really wanted to make sure that I locked out those triceps and overloaded them and got a good workout with my triceps. The second reason that I'm using chains is because inadvertently, because it is overloaded at the top and easier at the bottom, I'm able to work through the middle a little bit faster. So typically when you lift a barbell, between your chest and midway up is where your chest is doing most of the work. Then your triceps take over and lock it out. Since it's a lot lighter at the bottom of the lift, I'm able to push through really fast and really work on that speed movement from the bottom. So I'm able to carry that momentum to the top. This is a skill that you need to learn on top of your triceps being extra strong. So that's another great reason why I'm using chains today. And the third reason is because, again, inadvertently, this is a great way in order to give your chest a break and work your triceps, but still work out your chest in a safe manner. Now what I mean by that is if you've been watching my channel long enough, you'll notice that when I do bench press, typically I like to work with just the barbell and with the weights in standard weight. I like to work up to a 1 rep, 2 rep, or 3 rep max. And then I like to take a percentage of that and do some volume, either in 5, 6 to 8 reps, all on the flat bench. Then the next week, I like to use chains because since my chest got a huge pump last time from doing all that volume, now I'm able to focus on just the triceps and give my chest a break, but it's still getting some movement in between there. So it ends out rounding out to be a perfect way to lift for longevity and to lift progressively every single time you go to the gym without overloading your central nervous system or getting an injury. And when it comes to the sled, like I said, the air quality today was absolutely horrible. We had absolutely horrible winds, which caused a really big fire near my area, and the air quality was absolutely terrible. So fortunately for me, the wind had died down, and I didn't want to be sucking air by lifting heavy on the sled. So I went easy on the sled and just did some very easy movements in between while making sure I'm getting a lot of volume on the sled. Since I am a strongman, I like to make sure that I'm not only getting strong in barbell movements, but I'm also getting strong in practical movements. And sometimes lifting heavy in the practical movements isn't a good idea when your surrounding area is an unhealthy environment. So I was just trying to make sure that I was moving and moving with grace and not sucking too much wind in the bad air. Now for my top set, this is 360 pounds total with 315 on the bar and then those drop chains. And this is without gear, without a belt, without wrist wraps, and that went very smooth. So I was very happy with that because that just means I'm progressing the way that I want to. Now for the variation giant set, that left tricep was still giving me a little bit of trouble. So I didn't want to automatically jump up in 3 rounds to my max. So I just wanted to take it easy. But I was basically doing the incline bench press in the same format as the giant set before, with all the sled work that I was doing with the strongman pulls and with the sled pec flies on the way back, just to make it nice and easy by the time I was done. And I was just going to move up in 20s pretty much until I got to my top set. Then I would jump up to 30-pound jumps. But I love the incline bench because it really works 2 things. Number one, it really helps with your bench press, and it also really helps with the overhead press. So it's kind of the king. Now, a lot of strongmen actually like to use a high incline bench, maybe bringing the bench up to 2 or 3 clicks, so it's hitting more of your shoulders and your upper chest. Because when you're lifting a log, that's kind of where the log is going to be because it's so cumbersome in size. So if you're able to overload it on the bench, then it's going to be a lot easier to lift a log when you're doing strongman competitions. But I like to do the incline bench 1 click up from it being a flat bench press. 1 click up, I feel like really works your upper chest and works your shoulders and carries more over into the bench press, but it also does still carry into the log clean and press. So in my opinion, 1 click up is actually a lot better. A lot of people like to argue with this point with me. They try to say that the higher the incline, the better it is. And that might be true, honestly. I don't really care how you do it. Just do some kind of incline bench pressing. Incline bench pressing is absolutely fantastic. So if you need to lower the weight a little bit more because it's getting higher and higher on the bench and you're doing a high incline bench, that's perfectly fine. But for me, because I do a lot of movements already that are in that plane of the high incline bench, I like to do 1 click up and really overload it. It's definitely not as much as I can do on a flat bench press, but it definitely is more than I can do if it was 2 to 3 clicks higher than where it currently is set. And the goal was just to work up to a 6 rep max. And I kind of wanted to hit 255 today, but I didn't know how I was going to feel after that 1 rep max I did on the chains bench press on the flat portion. So I was just working up to see where I was going to feel good at and where I need to stop. But 225 actually flew and felt very healthy in my shoulders. So I knew that I could go up. So that's what I decided to do. Now for the assistance giant set, I was doing 3 rounds and I was doing something called hand release push-ups. A lot of people think these are easier to do, but really, they really light up your chest. The reason why is because you're completely letting go of all momentum at the bottom of the lift, and then you have to press quickly through. But the purpose of doing this is to really work that bottom portion of the bench press, because from the chest to the middle, this exercise really works that area before your triceps take over. And I just continued in that same giant set format with the sled. And then I moved on to the accessory giant set. But because I'm losing daylight very fast, it wouldn't be a very effective filming session. So I'm going to leave you guys here. I'm going to breeze through the accessory giant set, and then I'm going to continue on with my life. I hope everybody learned something new tonight, and thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Thank you.